Hello. That's just
Everybody. First of all, I must just get this done and over with just before we start. Just to let you know that tonight's meeting is actually sponsored, and we're sponsored now by the CVS 24-hour Speedway van recovery. Broken down. Just relax. You'll not know where your van is for 5 days.
That was an absolute bloody nightmare. It's finally been delivered. The van has been delivered. We're all good now. It's ready to get some work done to it. But yes, that company, I will not be using them in future.
No. Sorry, let's ladies first. Great pleasure. I only met you 2 weeks ago down at Plymouth.
Yeah,
walking the dog. It's great to welcome the boss of Team Pijper, and that is Carrie. Hi, Carrie.
right.
And apart from Greg, who's obviously one of our another regular, fantastic commentator, one half of the Shouty brothers, Marty. How's it going, mate?
Evening, everybody.
I've just figured out who you are.
Yes.
The pennies dropped.
So I'd like to go first, Carrie, by first of all asking, how did you first get into Speedway?
My family had been for years. My granddad, my mum's dad, he started going to Speedway in I think something like 1929, 1928 at the Old Marine Gardens at Edinburgh.
Wow.
My mum followed on as a child, as did her brother and sister. My dad also went to Speedway with his family, but my mum and dad didn't know each other at the time. I think my dad even used to do big trips down to Exeter in the 60s or something as part of his family holiday. So He's got dragged as children, and yeah, that's been it since then, really.
And is it something that you say you were dragged to? Same here. The first time I went, it was my ex-wife before we were even married that dragged me to the Speedway, and I didn't want to go. It was like, why do I want to go and see a load of bikers? But did you start quite young? Did you?
I think I was like maybe about 1 or 2. Yeah, actually a real kid. I've got my own Speedway scar in my lip here. I was 5 years old and I fell down the stairs at Powder Hall. And I remember going home covered in blood. So I always claim I've got a Speedway scar as well as the rest of the guys in my family now. So.
And
there's been no more scars since then, Carrie.
Well,
no other falling down in it.
Careful, Greg. Careful.
Yes.
It's been well warned. It's been well warned. He's not named through the computer.
Oh. 2 seconds. I will just let the dog out because otherwise he's gonna.
Oh, we're muted. So you've not fallen down any other stairs after the 5-year-old at Powder Hall. Nothing like that.
Well, maybe a few, but we won't go there.
What about you?
Was Ollie?
Hey? No. Oh, he never barks.
He doesn't bark.
Very rarely.
Only at Sky.
Yeah, only at Sky. He's back in the room.
Yeah, sorry about that. Last week I had the little puppy with me, and what a menace! So I've managed to relegate them to upstairs. So hopefully we will be undisturbed. So Carrie, when was it you first met Theo? When did Theo first come over to the UK?
I met him in 2004, at the start of 2004, and first impressions weren't actually that great. I just thought he was a bit of a foreign-looking weirdo with dodgy dressing and was to be a bit avoided, if I'm quite honest. And then we got chatting for maybe about the most of an hour, and Greg knows the story. He played a few tricks. And then I remember him saying to me, "You're the girl I'm going to marry." And I thought, oh my God, this really is a weirdo. Totally need to get shot of him. Then a week later he moved in, and that was that. What, 19 years ago now? Yeah, 18 years ago now.
So exactly what that was his chat-up line then, was it?
His chat, yeah, kind of, but his chat line was, we were all going out to a nightclub, and we were all going to meet somewhere. We were all going to meet outside, and he said, "Oh, I'll be able to phone you," and I said, "Well, you can't because you don't have my phone number." And he said, "Yeah, but in Holland we have technology that my phone can scan you, and I'll be able to get your phone number just from scanning you." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And he went, "But look," and he pretended to do it, showed me his phone, and it already had my phone number. And I was like, "Oh my God." Yeah, kind of playing at it. But then that was, as I say, the rest is history. So,
Carrie, was there a language barrier to start with? Was
I
that
he could
yeah?
speak good English, or say Scottish, not as good Scottish as you can now, but
No, his Scottish is
yeah.
pretty good now.
Yeah, he thinks he's Scottish as well now. So
Through residency, I'm the same. I was born in Cheltenham. Well, born in London, grew up in Cheltenham, but I've lived here so many years. I've taken on Scottishness. Yeah, so I was going to ask, by the way, how is Theo? Because I remember you saying that he's not been 100% recently.
he's all right. He's not just been feeling well. It started off with a couple of weeks at Berwick. He was just really, really sick. During the meeting, he was really, really sick. And I'd heard them say it over the channel, but I didn't think anything of it. So we went the next day, we went back to the van, and that night we drove over to Kent's to do grass track. And he was completely fine overnight during the day. And the funny thing, actually, Bonnie was sick that whole day. She spent a whole day in the van being sick. But it's just some sort of heavy cold, cough, just rottenness. It's not COVID, we've been testing for that. It's just genuinely feeling a bit rubbish, but there's that many coughs and colds going around now anyway. But yeah, he's a little bit better.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he certainly did look tired. I mean, going all the way to Germany and then coming back the next day. Germany on the Thursday, Redcar on the Friday.
I think a lot of it is tiredness. Like the last 2 weeks has been really, really full on for us, and we're not a lot of sleep. So when we've been travelling, we've been getting somewhere like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and getting up at maybe 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to get ready to move on again. So he's not getting a rest to actually heal up with whatever is making him feel not well. But
he's feeling a bit better now, though.
Yeah, he's well enough to do the dishes, so yeah, he's feeling better.
Yeah. That's always good news. I mean, I actually said last week that I wasn't going to be able to make the meeting on Saturday because I was part of this Come Dine With Me group, which Leon thought was some sort of swingers group, but it's not. It's you go to each other's houses and you have nice meals. It's been postponed, so I will be going along on Saturday. So hopefully he'll be back to his normal. And
this is pretty easy for us as well. We've got we've had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week free, so hopefully that makes a bit of a difference.
Sure. Greg, I'll let you go next because you said, can I ask question 3?
Yeah, I know it's basically how wives and girlfriends are treated in Speedway, because on the side of that, just something I'd like to add in is that in the Speedway world, if there's a woman comes along to ride the bike, it's all about getting women in Speedway. But to be honest with you, women have been the backbone of Speedway since the word go, because behind every rider, there's always got to be a good woman, and that's a fact, because you need that support either from a wife, a mother, a sister, whoever. You need a woman there to almost, even if they're crumbling inside, they always keep you sort of semi-sane, and just, they take a lot of pressure on, and it's always behind the scenes. And I don't think it gets talked about enough about how much a woman will do for a man in this sport, because you can be, it's good to have someone to celebrate with you, but at the same time, when things are going wrong, it can be very, very lonely. And you can finish a meeting one week and score a maximum and everybody's wanting your autograph, or you can go to a meeting and score 3 zeros, dropped out your last ride, and you go back to the van and the kids know, oh, he didn't do very well, I'm not wanting to talk to him. So having someone like, in your life that can comfort you. But what do you get in that, Carrie, you've been, not saying you're old, but you've been around Speedway for all your life, so you know what it's like to be a woman in Speedway. So what's it like for you?
I think you've got to be very understanding because it demands so much. It's all the normal things go out the window. So if somebody's having a birthday party or a wedding, you can't go because it's always during the summer. You have to give up basically your whole social life, whatever, to be able to go and or to be there with them. But as for how we get treated, I don't really think there's any answer to that. Like, we're chatting just before you came on about getting treated for clubs or something, but I don't really think you get your pass to go in and that's it. I wouldn't know there was any different, if you know what I mean. You go around the back and I go around and stand up my bit, but
there's not any. I mean, you get sometimes if there's a clause out sort of thing. I maybe not so much nowadays, but maybe the younger lot you might have that to. Yeah.
Maybe years ago, I don't know, but no. No, I go and stand with my wee crowd, stand with my lot, keep not ourselves, but I mean, I am aware that if he does well, that's great, and if he doesn't, then you can also, then it's not great, But no, I just sort of keep ourselves to ourselves. I don't think there's anything like that.
No.
I do remember a Grand Prix. So I went to a Grand Prix years ago in Germany when we lived over in Holland, and we got some tickets from whoever we were sitting in this VIP bit, and it was two. I'm not going to name whose wives they were, but it was two wives of very big Grand Prix riders at the time, and I spent my whole evening watching them because they are like shouting at not say each other, but like the rivalry and the and the and all it was actually far more interesting than the race. I was like, this is really exciting, But apart from that, I don't really think there's not any rivalry or anything, not that I know of or I'm aware of or part of.
It's not like the wags in the football world then.
No, I don't think so. I mean, as much as I like my handbags, that's probably the only thing I can, say that there's in common. I don't think there's anything like that. No.
I would say that the difference between footballers' wives and speed riders' wives is oily and dirty, and I know. Yeah, and the pay packet as well is slightly different. But yeah, cool. I've seen you do it yourself with sorting, cleaning stuff up and everything else like that. It's not the most glamorous job in the world, is it?
No, everybody's got to take a job to get done what needs to get done in the time that you've got to do it.
Yeah, and especially having the two boys as well as Theo doing it as well. You've got your hands full, and also running about after the wee princess that is Bonnie. She's the boss as well.
Yeah, she's the boss. No, but she's definitely the boss. So say like we were riding on Friday there. We've been away all week. We're riding on Friday. Then they were riding again on Saturday, and there's such a small time frame to get everything ready. But the other thing because we had Saturday afternoon and Saturday night last week, but the thing that's hard as well is that you've still got 3 children, you've still got a house, I've still got a dog, I've still got a cat, you've still got to feed everyone, you've got to make sure everyone's got their teeth brushed, you've got to make sure the van's packed, you've got to make sure. So there's all that as well to do, not just the bike stuff. There's all the normally stuff you've got to do as well.
Yeah.
Marty, I'll let you have a word.
I was just going to ask Carrie what was I don't know if worse is the actual word I would use, but watching as a wife or a mother, because when you're seeing your family belting around the track and getting into all sorts of shenanigans at times and what have you, the stomach must be churning at times thinking, oh, what about this? What about certain scenarios? Are you quite kind of chilled out and relaxed?
No. Chilled out and relaxed one. It's horrible. I thought it was bad enough watching your husband. And then when the boys started, it got worse. And if I'm completely honest, it just gets worse. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't get any easier watching the boys because the craziest thing is they're supposed to get faster, yeah? But for me, that gets worse. How better they get, how faster they go. And that just intensifies the anxiety and the fear, really. Yeah. But I'm not nervous. You normally hear me screaming a little bit in the back or something. Yeah, I'm not cool. But it's not normal, is it? It's not normal to watch your loved ones do something like that, and you have to see them have. That's not normal for any wife or parent to have to witness, if you know what I mean.
Well, no,
it was like you said about the car crash, Carrie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember you saying that. That was like a good way of describing it if you want to tell them that.
Yeah, well, when Greg's been around a few times, we were talking about the same thing, and I said it's almost like imagine watching your loved one have a car crash. You know, they're going at speed, they're having an accident. That's kind of what it's like, and that's not normal or enjoyable. Obviously, it's really quite horrifying.
Yeah.
It
I
does
mean,
leave, it does leave you, with I don't know how to say it, but it does. It's
Like
frightening.
as in a lot of parents would possibly choose not to, not for better word, but not watch rather than watch because they just simply can't handle it. You know, they don't want to see it because, I think it's a thing as well when you watch Speedway. The older you get and you see riders come off, and you think, "Oh God, please just everything be okay." And it just sort of gets worse and worse as you get older. That you obviously you start to realise what can happen to these lads.
I think as well for me, like people will say to me, like, "Oh, you've been at Speedway, you've been married to a rider for how long? You should know what it's like." And I always say that's exactly why I'm so scared because I know what can happen and I've seen it all happen. So for me, like I'm delighted when any of them finish a race. I'm like, "Yay!" Not because of what they scored, just for the fact that it's done.
So
Yeah,
when
That's
the
one less race.
I've
so
tried
when the
it.
boys come to you and say, "Mum, I want to be a Speedway rider," you're thinking, "Could you not have picked football or something, son? Do you know?"
We tried everything else. Ace has always been into racing. He's never had anything different he's ever wanted to do. Steen has been the same, but not as much as Ace. We didn't ask them to do it. We didn't want them to do it. This came from them 100%. In fact, I do remember we put Ace. Ace got a shot on a speedway bike when he was 8 years old and had a bit of a crash. And I said, "That's it. It's done. I'm absolutely done. No one's riding again. All the bikes go away. Finished. I'm not living like this, and I'm not doing it." And I think we must have asked every single day for about 2.5 years, "Please let us ride. Please let us ride. Please let us ride." And I said, "Okay, we'll give them a shot and just hope that they're rubbish and they don't like it." And it worked like that. But we felt that how more we said no, how more we were maybe fueling their desire. You know, if children ask you
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
how more you keep saying, "No, you can't do it, no, you can't do it." And we were more worried that we thought, okay, but we did basketball clubs, we did football clubs, they played for the local football team in the village, we did swimming lessons, we tried lots of other things, and they've just never taken
Always
up.
came back to the racing.
Yeah, always came back. Steen he's an RAF cadets and he loves that and he's really into flying and he loves the whole things that come with it. But Ace is just racing and that's it. He's got nothing else. Even how much we've tried, that's his one and only goal.
Well, as long as they keep wanting to come to Berwick, that'll do for us.
Yes, yeah.
But it definitely came from them. There was no bit from us. And then I do remember as well. We sat down with them and said, look, this is dangerous. It's not all fun. It's not all just travelling about and having a good laugh, And I did tell them straight, you can really, really, really hurt yourself, and that's not nice, But it's important that that sounds awful, but it's important that they know that too.
Yeah, just getting back to the idea of you going and watching them. It's quite bizarre because, for example, when I go out teaching and playing in the band, my wife doesn't normally come with me. I'm sure, Marty, that your wife doesn't come to you when you're working, and Greg, does your partner come and help you fit tires?
No, I've just got my
No,
dog that does that.
I mean, Carrie, it is quite strange, isn't it? Because I mean, as Marty was saying there, it really is a case of you've just got to put up with the fact that you've got to be there to watch it. You never thought, well, I'll just go and do something else.
Oh yeah, I've tried.
All right.
Mostly I either hide in the toilet sometimes, or I'll I don't watch. I just put my fingers in my ears and I listen for them to go round 4 times. That kind of helps, but it's not any easier to stay at home either because then you're waiting for updates. And I think it can maybe be just as bad. But yeah, it's just as bad when you're there as well. For me, it's not enjoyable, if I'm honest. I love the life that comes with it. I love the chatting with people. I love the going places. I love the travelling. I love the friends. I love all that. It's brilliant. But actually, the racing part, I don't like.
Sure. I mean, when I go to follow Speedway, Eunice doesn't come with me. She's not really interested. In fact, it was a case of, to be honest, what we used to have to do was if she was going to come with us, say to Workington or Hull or whatever, well, I had to find a bingo hall for her to go and play bingo. So that then I could go and watch the Speedway. And until we found a bingo hall, I can get to the Speedway.
That sounds like a good plan, actually. I think.
Paul, that's the key. Find a wife that loves Speedway. That's the key.
Yes, yeah.
I
Well,
think so. Yeah.
Or don't bother at all.
With a better thing, yeah.
no, it was my first wife. She was absolutely into Speedway. She used to go and watch Leicester when they raced at Leicester at Beaumont Leys in the original stadium. And it was her that dragged me along to Barrett the first time. But nowadays I've got my eldest daughter. She loves coming along to the Speedway, and she gets most annoyed when I tell her that I'm going here and then every like Plymouth and Redcar, Newcastle, and she's not able to come with us. Absolutely enjoys it. Sorry, I can't remember what's the next question. Anybody remember what the next question was on the list? Carrie kind of touched on that, which was the kind of the ups and downs.
The one that has just sprung to my mind, if Carrie was watching last week, or subsequently had seen last week, when I asked Greg and Leon, what rider do you most detest losing to? And Greg said it wasn't so much detest, but when he's racing or he's out with the bullets and Ace beats him, and he's going, how can he be that good at 15? It's just.
So they
I do.
You bring out the extra competition.
I do often try my best on times to make it look like that I'm nursing him round. But no, when Ace gets out and goes, he really does get the bit between the teeth and he's gone. And the thing is with Ace, which I like watching, is if you're even being behind him, which is probably like the best view when you're on track because you see everything, is that if he gets stuck in a hole or whatever else like that, or the bike gets a little launch with him, he never panics. He never loses his composure. He just everything's the only thing he does lose his composure with is at the start. I've hit the tapes twice in my whole Speedway career. Ace is destroying them. We were having a joke with him. It was Tio was telling him that. He says, "You're going to have to give Jamie your wages because you owe him for tapes because you broke them all at Berwick." But that'll come. It's just keen.
We're trying to hope that just goes away, because the more we talk about it or the more we try and say it to him or do it with him, then the more a thing it becomes. We're trying to not make it a thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes from he's really nervous at the start, and he's not done a lot starting on a 500. And obviously, it's a lot more on the start powerful than what the 250s or the 125s are. And he's lifted the 250s twice. And I think he's a bit nervous that he's done it. But maybe the other thing is he just wants to get out first. But you'll need to learn how to not do that.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And, it's only his first year. He's only had a handful of matches. So I'm sure within time it'll be something that he can learn to deal with.
But nothing wrong with being too eager.
Yeah. He just wants a head start.
Because I am so old, I did used to chat with members of the '89 team, and of course Dave Walsh. I remember chatting with him, and he talked and asking him, what goes through your mind when you're at the starting gate, and it was like, wow, I didn't know anybody could think that much. But he was on about the fact, you're looking at the, where you are and where the dirt is and picturing it all in your mind and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's such a crucial part of Speedway. I mean, how do you approach the whole business of starting?
We need to ask him. We need to ask him.
Greg, I mean, how do you approach it? Yeah.
I've because I've stopped riding, because I stopped riding for so long, I could say that if people said to me, "Oh, I bet you missed the speed, and I bet you missed coming at the corner hard and turning," and no, the one thing I missed is when the green light comes on and looking down at the magnet, because will you get off?
Is that Ollie?
No, that's a cat.
Oh.
There's a bloody zoo in here. Yeah, for the green light going on to looking down at the magnet or the hook, your mind's totally clear, and it's the only time, when you're on, when as soon as you drop that clutch, you've got 100 things coming into your mind. What's he doing? Have I made it? Right, I'm going to position the bike here. That didn't go the way I planned. But no, green light to the watching the hook. There's just nothing in your mind, and it's the noisiest part of the race, but in your mind, it's the quietest, if you would know what I mean when I say that, because everything just goes away, and that's to me, that's magical. I love that bit. But yeah, the starting beforehand when you're getting yourself set up, you're getting your rut dug out, and you have to have a little routine. I would tell anybody that get yourself into a routine. I always make sure my cutout's on, and I check my helmet's is strapped up. I tap the bottom of my helmet, make sure that it's looped up, and just make sure my cutout's not going to get hanked on the throttle or come out. And it's just a calming thing, because if you've watched the Grand Prix, you'll notice that they've got the heart monitors on now and how high their heart rate is. That's what it's like. So just trying to focus on something, get chilled out, and then when the start marshal pulls you forward, you should be in that sort of, here we go. It's about to kick off and go mental.
I want a heart monitor at the start and see what mine does. See if it's
We should
what it would be.
definitely get you a smartwatch on, Carrie, and see what it's like at the start.
And also see the levels of oxygen, because I just think I stopped breathing for like a whole 64 seconds. Do you know what I mean?
Cheers. I mean, the moving on from the starting, and as I say, Carrie, you kind of touched on this earlier. We'll skip to number 5. The ups and downs of, being a speedway rider's life. You kind of touched on it. The travel. I mean, where's the best places that you've been to?
Well, I don't know. Well, we've been to Hungary, Austria, Czech Republic, Poland, Finland, Sweden, Norway. Yeah, what do you mean, like the best? The best for country, meeting wise, like racing wise?
I suppose in any sense, as to what were the enjoyable places, where did you feel like sort of made welcome, all that kind of stuff, beauty of the countryside.
Yeah, one of the best ones. We went to Hungary years and years and years ago, and my father-in-law, if he's listening, booked us a nice cheap hotel. He said, "I've got some really, really lovely cheap hotel." And when we drove up, it was really kind of basic. Never thought anything of it. We were sitting eating our dinner, and it was goulash. And I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat things like that anyway. I always normally eat bread, cheese, and drink beer when we're abroad. That's or salad. That's what most is mine get. And we heard this funny knocking noise. And to the side we looked over, and there was all these monks, and they were walking with big blocks and donking their blocks. And we were like, "Oh my God, where are we?" My father-in-law actually booked us in a monastery to stay. We were like, "What?" And then it was just crazy. Like when we went upstairs to the rooms, there was holes in the floor down to the kitchen. There was the toilets didn't have. It was like a communal toilet, not in your room. You had to go to one, and they didn't have any separators. All the toilets were just in a row next to each other. So that was kind of weird, but they were probably the nicest people that you'd ever met. They would have given you the shirt off the back, if you know what I mean. They were so nice, so welcoming, and like it was such a poor part of the country that we were at. But they were probably the nicest that we'd ever come across. But yeah, all of it's good. Finland's lovely. Norway's nice, but very, very, very expensive. Yeah.
What if we flip it the other way?
Yeah.
And say where does
the worst?
Or where is Theo ridden and you've went, nah, I don't like that, or which club, or what are you going? No, you're not going back there.
I don't think I'm allowed to actually voice my opinion on that one. Well,
Come
I don't know if
on.
we're not. I just think that we probably shouldn't.
It's fair enough.
No, there's nowhere really that bad. There's not where that anyone else thought, oh well, every track I think, oh my god, get me out of here. But no, I don't think there's any that's
They've all had their moments, eh?
yeah, there's nothing really horrendous.
So to that end, I was thinking about this today. That so, is Theo's got a league medal with Glasgow.
Yeah. One with
Obviously, he's got
Edinburgh.
one with Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So if he gets one with Berwick, that's him got the box set, yeah.
Well,
He's
yeah.
got the Northern Treble.
But he's also the only, as far as we know, and I've had Glasgow and Edinburgh check this out, he's the only rider to ever win the league title with both Scottish clubs, as far as we know. So if anybody else is listening and they know something different, let us know, because we talked about this at Glasgow when he did the Hall of Fame just in November past there. And I'm pretty sure we've asked Edinburgh as well.
That's quite an achievement that itself, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think he's the only rider to have won it with both Scottish clubs.
Aye, is, I mean, you think.
So just going back to the the best places you've ever visited, you reminded me then of my uncle Chris, who was a member of the Fortunes back in the 60s, and he for a while started playing in piano bars all over the world, literally, cruises and all over Europe. And I remember he said to me once, he phoned me up very early on and said, Paul, can you go and check out Frederick Street? There's a place called Fingers Piano Bar. Could you check it out? Because I'm really kind of reluctant to come to Scotland. I've never been to Scotland before. I'm really reluctant. So I went and checked out the place. I said, Chris, you'll absolutely love it. Do you know what? He came and he didn't just do it once, Fingers Piano Bar. He did it twice. And as far as he was concerned, Edinburgh is the most beautiful city he's ever been in.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange how we take for granted what is right on our doorstep, We
live in the middle of nowhere, and on the side, and it's absolutely stunning. And we take the dog a walk every single morning along there, and we always say, like, wow, the scenery is different every morning. It depends where the sun is, if it's raining. And we actually say, like, we live in such a beautiful place that we do take it for granted. And people come all over the world to come and see our country, But it is beautiful.
Yeah. Last week, was it you, Greg, that was talking about the fact that, the number of riders that from foreign countries that come and stay in this sort of area of, like the borders, like Wooler and,
Yeah, all over that way. They come over and something happens and it just, they stay here and they'll stay here for forever. Yeah, they get married and they settle down and it's their new home. Where would you rather? Is there anywhere apart from where you are at the moment, Carrie? Is there anywhere else in the world that you would quite happily settle in? Have you ever lived anywhere else?
Yeah, we've lived in Holland. We've lived in the south of France. We've lived in Wolverhampton for a few months. We've lived in Swindon for a while. Yeah,
Swindon's a bit of a.
Well, Swindon was nicer than Wolverhampton, but yeah. So I don't know. I think this is not our forever place. I think it's beautiful and I like it where we are, but I don't think it's our forever place. We'll just need to see what happens, where the future takes us. But we're all very, we've all got quite itchy feet. We'd all quite, if we were offered something to pack up and go and live in Europe somewhere, then we probably would. Okay, not right now because they've both, got clubs and whatever. But I don't think that a border is a border for us, if you know what I mean.
True.
Yeah.
We're all used to moving about. The kids have moved about. The kids have. Ace has been to school in Holland. He went to a little nursery thing in France. So they're used to always moving around. Well, really, we've been here for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this is 6 years we've been, and particularly in this house, and I think that's the longest we've ever been based anywhere out of the last 18 years.
I think you're becoming attached.
Eh?
I mean, I must. I do like bigger, and you I think I read somewhere that you went to school in Portobello, and
I did,
those are two fantastic places where I've had great times. But anyway,
that's
As they say that London's big, but bigger's bigger.
exactly.
that'll always be home to me. If like you can go anywhere all over the world, or you can live here, or you can do whatever, but the Portobello at the time will always be what I call my home.
Yeah, it's a great place. I've spent many hours at various places. In fact, once again, when I used to go to the lodge at Portobello, I had to find a bingo place for Eunice. So again, that was no trouble at all. Yeah, I want to ask you. We're kind of touching on it, obviously, but the future for both Theo and for Ace and Steen. What do you see as being the likelihood of or what? Sorry, let's start again. What are their aspirations, if you like?
Um, I'll start with Tio. I
Yeah.
think that is completely his decision, as
Mhm.
and when he stops. So he's 42 now. He's maybe kind of pushing the age limit anyway. Um, he was scoring points okay until last weekend, but he's been doing all right in the long track. He could run as well. But you've got to also want to finish on a high, which is quite difficult. You don't want to, you want to finish that season when you've still like relatively well. I think we'll get to the end of the season and then we'll decide. And I think the decision is obviously 100% his, because if if you say to him, "Oh, I think you should stop," or you should say to him, "I think you should keep going," it's got to come from him, and it's got to come from his heart, and it's got to come at the time when he knows this is it for me. It's his decision. He's the one that's on a bike. Doesn't matter if I think he should or shouldn't, or someone else thinks he should or shouldn't. It's 100% his choice. And I think we'll just get to the end of the season and reassess that. One thing I do think we won't be able to do a lot of seasons the way that we're running just now, because it's so full, it's so busy. We do all our own work, so we do all our own driving, mechanicking, organising. We do all that ourselves. The fixtures are thick and fast. We've got some abroad, here. I don't think we could continue this for a long time. We're already only just pushing into June, and it's hard work. We're getting tired, maybe a little bit. We are getting a bit tired. So I think, we'll get to the end of the season and we'll see. For Ace and Steen, that again is their choice. Ace has already made the step to 500. It's going okay. But there's a lot more steps that he has to obviously go with. As and when each step, when we make it, that'll be the decision that we make at the time. Should we do this? Should we do that? We'll see what offers come. We'll see if we should. And just the same for Steen. Steen wants to try the 250 because a lot of of his group that are on 125 are all moving up to the 250. We're not as keen for Steen to move up to the 250, not because I don't think he can handle it, but just he's a wee boy, and he's a wee boy. He's quite small made, and you just don't want to put him onto something too quickly. So he's doing fine at the 125. He's getting a lot of speed. He's pushing it to its limit, and I think when he really, really takes it to the limit and he can't squeeze anything else out that bike, then we will consider giving him a shot on the 250 and see where that goes. But it's all just wait and see what happens, see what gets offered. It's kind of a hard. I don't know what's going to happen. We just need to wait.
So to that end, coming to Berwick for this year, was it an easy decision for the family, for everybody, or once, did all the apples fall into place in terms of Theo signed first, and then it was like, well, Ace is going on the 500s. There's a team place for him in the Bullets, and then it just all worked out. Was that something by accident, or?
No, there was a message to you signed up yet, quite early. Obviously, I won't say too much, but yeah, it was early, and then it was basically okay, we'll have the two of you. But Ace hadn't even really tried a 500 at that time, so I was quite adamant. Oh, there's no way he's going nationally. There's no way. So we had a chat about it. With some people. Jason Crump's been a wonderful mentor for Ace, and Steen has given us such valuable information. And I think it's been good information because he sees it as a dad, because he's a dad of a child that races, but he's also been a racer himself. So he completely understands being a dad and, and having a son that rides and where to go. And he said, absolutely, I mean, I think he should do it. And I thought, oh, okay. To be honest, that decision went ahead really without my complete say-so. That all kind of happened with me out, without me really. I was kind of on the fence thinking, I don't want this. I don't think this is great. It's not about me. It's not about what I want. But I'm just not sure this is going to be the best thing. It turned out it probably has been the best thing, and it was definitely the right step for Ace to make at the time. But it gave me a lot of concern over the winter. I really thought, my God, what if he gets lapped? What if he can't even ride a 500? What if, all these things that you worry about? Not that I don't doubt his talent, but in hindsight, it definitely has been the best thing to have all of them at one place. It's not the best thing for my heart rate or for my sanity or for my stress levels. But for the rest of it, it's definitely been the best thing to have them all one place, just for fixtures.
Yeah.
But apart from that, Berwick's great. It's such a great club. The fans are brilliant. The promotion are great. They talk to you on a level of a friend when you're a friend, but they talk to you on a level of, the promotion and authority of the team manager when they're in that position. So there's no blurred lines. Your friends on that side, and then they're the bosses on that side. Theo loves riding for Berwick. He's always liked riding for Berwick. I think the way that they bring it out of him, like some people in the pits, sometimes pressure works, sometimes being friends works, sometimes silence works. Whatever they do with Theo seems to work, and it works with Ace as well, obviously. But no, but it was a great decision. Actually, it was a great decision.
Good.
A quick question. I don't know if anybody knows this. I mean, who is the oldest rider in British Speedway at the moment? Is it Scott Nicholas?
I think it is.
He's 44.
So Theo's just a spring chicken.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I'm from a musical background, and I always remember a very famous quote. Somebody interviewed the classical cellist, virtuoso cellist Pablo Casals, and asked him why he was still practicing at age 83, and he said, "Because I feel like I'm still improving."
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Marty, you. Sorry, Kai.
That's okay. Theo even say he still learns now. He still learns with setups. He still learns with Greg. You'll be the same. It's every day's a school day, yeah.
Aye, every day is a school day. Every single day. When you get on that bike, when you're doing something in the workshop, it's just the tiniest little. Someone can just come along and say one thing to you. Have you tried this? And you can have a rider like Theo that's been around for so long. Someone could say, "Oh, you should try this. I use this," and Theo will say, "Oh, well, I'll give it a go." And then bang, it's changed your season. Stuff like that happens. It genuinely does happen. Try this; it'll turn your season round, and yeah, it does. And it's mental because you are always learning in Speedway.
There's always a lot of new things come out as well, like these different engines. These.
Yep.
Obviously, not weekly, but when these new baby offsets and the NX things, and then there's always different machinery coming out to try because everybody's just trying to be faster and faster, aren't they? So engine tuners are always trying to make something that is faster, which is horrifying. But that's the name of the game, isn't it? So there's always changes happening to machinery. I mean, you had a gap, didn't you? So you must know the difference between what you rode on. I don't know how many years your gap was, but what you rode on then to what you have now, you must notice so many technical.
Oh yeah, it's things that were on it, that stuff that you have to have on the bikes now as well. I mean, when I stopped in 2011, and then just coming back to it now, there's like so many more little add-ons and things here and there, and like tolerance levels and stuff, what you're allowed to have, and everything else like that. All safety. I remember when I stopped riding, something simple as you could ride a bike, you could come out the pits and ride a bike without the spoiler in the back wheel, and now without it, and now you can't. You have to have that on, which is just a safety thing, isn't it? To think back then, your hand could have went inside the spokes on the first bend, so easy, And I would sometimes go out if we were turning a tyre and we had 2 minutes or change the gear. You didn't have time to put it on, doesn't matter, throw it to the side. But now you'd be excluded for the race if you went out without that on. It's just little things like that. There's so many different changes in Speedway. They don't often bring out that much change. The bikes are still pretty much similar to what they've always been. But there's always just little tweaks here, there, and everywhere every now and again. And it was quite a big difference when I came back after 10 years.
Yeah. Somebody must have lost their hand or fingers, and then the new rules are brought in. But that's the same as everything. They make changes and learn the safety thing because of the accidents that happen, unfortunately. And then they think of a new thing how that can't happen, and then.
Well, I remember it was if you cast it was a few years ago when Carl Stone here, when his arm got caught in the back mudguard.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, when the mudguards used to be whatever height,
Yeah.
and Stoney's arm went in and he got dragged for ages, and I'm sure they went and put pressure on them to do something about it. But even when they did drop them, you'll remember that Greg Hancock got his arm caught in the back of a bike at I can't remember what Grand Prix it was or who it was.
Torrini got it caught, and it was Everson's back wheel.
Everson's back wheel,
Coming off the
and
corner.
his hand went in, and you watch the slow motion, and it goes in, and the mudguards, it's 35mm it's got to be. His hand went in, but then it spat it down the side of the push bar, and the bike took off with him still hanked inside it. There's freak accidents like that happen now and again, and I think at the end of the day, it's a dangerous sport. You are going to have accidents. You know, you have to accept the fact that you are going to have accidents, and that's just the top and bottom of it. Fair enough, making it as safe as you can, but there are freak accidents now and again, and horrible things do happen.
I mean, one of the biggest changes, of course, since I first started following Speedway was that, my favourite picture of me with Mark and Sean, the bike has got an upright engine.
Aye, yeah.
That's how old I go back.
That wasn't last week.
It was not last week at all. It was 1988 when I first started following them. As a obviously from a musical background, a teaching background, one of the things that the Chinese discovered or sort of put out there was that in order to become a concert pianist takes 10,000 hours of practice. I mean, how many hours does it take to become a top class speedway rider?
I don't know.
3 in a good day.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a time. I think it's if you've got it or not. You know, some people can jump on a bike and they're a natural. Obviously, you've got to go through each process to get where you're going to go. I think you can see which ones have kind of got it and which ones aren't. Who's going to go to what level? If everything runs smooth, who's going to be that level? Who's going to be that level? I think it's. Yeah, Greg, do you agree? It's not a taught thing. It's in you.
No, it has to be in you. I've watched Speedway, all my life, and I could tell that even from a young age, you could tell the difference between someone who was stylish on a bike. So growing up watching Lee Adams. Lee Adams, in my opinion, was one of the best styles on a speedway bike. Solid, safe, and so much control. Same with Greg Hancock. They were, bang on. But you get someone that's a bit flamboyant and hangs off the side of it. Sometimes I fall in that category when I get a bit carried away and I'm trying to do some passing. It's the way I do it, because the sort of being stylish on the bike gets thrown out the window. But you do see even riders nowadays that are even championship level who ride a bike horrendously and manage to get round. There's riders that have got, they just look like they're seconds away from injury because the way they sit on the bike is just not right, and they seem to get away with it time and time again. But you see young kids come through and you just think there's going to be no point there. I think the main thing is to have that hunger, to have that sort of controlled aggression on a bike. You need to have a bit of go about you. If you're too laid back the way you ride it, there's no point, because you have to have a bit of energy. And
then everyone's their own level of where they want to be as well. So some people are quite happy to be a wobbly junior. Some people want to go on to just being a team. Some people want to go to Grand Prix level.
Oh yeah,
Some are happy and to be where they are, if you know what I mean.
yeah. No, I agree with you there. I mean, I'm quite happy where I am just now, especially like at 32 this year. I'm in the National Development League, but I think that the development thing is that almost my job in the team, my unofficial job is the to have everyone to have fun. So like if someone has a bad race, it's just speaking to that person, have a laugh with them, tell them, oh, I had a bad race, and I'll go, well, aye, you were useless, but go out in the next one and go home
Yeah.
happy. You know, aye, you were terrible. What were you playing at? You know, but have a laugh about it. Don't be. There's no point being harsh on somebody when they've
No.
already got their head down because it doesn't work. You just got to try build them up and have a laugh, and then say, look, if you had a bad, we'll go for a beer afterwards anyway, and we'll forget about it. So, aye, that's what I like to do in the team is just go around everybody and I don't get nervous anymore. I do if I'm doing like a championship guest booking or whatever, but National League I don't get too nervous. I know the Ace sometimes you get like it's funny because you meet up at the start of the meeting and everybody's chatting away, and then you can tell who's struggling with nerves because they go really quiet. And so I just kind of like don't talk about Speedway when you're in the changing rooms. Just there's no point talking about what they're getting anxious about what they're about to do. So I'll just talk about anything else apart from Speedway, just to let their mind go at ease a little bit. And it's just to try and help them out. And I know what it was like being that 15, 16-year-old kid sitting there sweating, shaking, feeling sick. It's horrible. But now I'm at the stage where I'm like, I don't really need to impress anybody. I'm going out there to do this for myself, just to enjoy myself. There's no pressure on me. And I think Ace at his age, being at 15, probably everyone keeps saying there's no pressure on you, but he will have pressure on himself, and it's difficult. You do get these if your name's here, there, and everywhere in all these interviews and on the Speedway Star and stuff. You think, oh, I have to impress, but you don't really. Just go out and enjoy riding your bike, and you will be good.
Yeah, we've always been like that though with ours. All three of mine, it's always been about the fun. It's always been, no stress. It is what it is. If you've had a rubbish one, you don't come home and gloat like, what's the word like think about it or be gloomy about it. It's done, it's past, you can't change it. Everything is about fun. If you're not having fun, there's no point in doing it. And you get your best results when you're having fun. And Tio's always said
Exactly.
that as well. When he's in a situation or a team place where he's got to perform, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. That's when it's not fun anymore. If you know what I mean, when it's fun and you're enjoying it, that's when you have your best rides and that's when you make the points.
Yeah, exactly.
When
But
it comes to fun and it's mine are always like there's never any pressure on ours. And you said that like the pressure with Ace. When it all first happened, he started, it went a bit crazy, didn't it? It just like was like,
yeah,
whoa, Ace says that. We just slowly kept him off everything. We didn't look at any programs, we didn't look at the Speed of Stars, we did nothing. We just kept it all as low key and as quiet as possible. We all know there's going to be a roller coaster. He's going to score great one week and then he's going to hit a bit. This whole thing is a roller coaster, isn't it? You have great weeks, you have rubbish weeks, you have injuries, you're the hero when you win points, you're the zero when you lose a race that really counted. It's a complete roller coaster. And we know that. We've been there and we've done it all. So all we can do with Ace and Steen is just try and ride the roller coaster with them and let them know it's all right, and it is going to happen. And even top sportsmen, guys at the very top have that as well, don't they? It's up and down all the time. So yeah, if Ace is a bit quiet, then we always just keep saying, "Oh, there's no pressure, mate. It's fine. There's absolutely no pressure. There's no, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do that." Yeah, I was the first one that panicked when it went to number 3, and then I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I knew he was with you. I thought, "Oh my god, that's like no offense. If you're out and you're doing all this roundabouts thing, I'm like to Ace, just hang back, just let him go around that bend, see what he's going to do first, and then you can follow, son. No, all joking aside, there's no pressure from Ace, and if he gets, if fans want to say anything or people want to say anything, then we'll just take him out of the situation and just keep reminding him there's nothing on his shoulders, nothing, not at all.
no, because the one thing that you'll find is if when you get to like we were on about before the highs and the lows, it does come a point where even if you don't mean to see it or you do see it on social media or whatever, if someone was to say something to you, the amount of it's never anybody who's been great on a speedway bike who will give you a slagging off ever. Anyone who's ever thrown the leg over a bike will never disrespect you. It's always some idiot who thinks they could do it and thinks they could do it better than you. And it's just like, there's my bike, have a shot. If you think I'm that bad, you have a go. And I mean, I know fans come in and they pay their money and they like to have a moan, but I think, you do have to.
You can't say that.
You can't single out a rider on a bad performance because
What they do.
they do. But it's just that's the way it is, and you have to get over it. And what I quite like doing is, you see the people that slag people off on riders off on Facebook, is go on their profile photos, because their profile photos are usually quite funny to see. There's some weird looking bloke, So that's what I like to look at.
Can I just take you back to something that you were talking about, Greg, and Marty? Probably Marty. I mean, I think I'm the oldest, and then Marty. Unstylish riders. Rob Grant Senior.
Yeah.
How the hell did he make it a career out of it? Just yeah.
I think it's one of them that at times visiting riders were possibly, shall we say, a little bit scared to get near him, for better use of a word.
I mean, I presume, Greg, you've sort of about the legend of Rob Grant. Every meeting, he would go out in the fields and grab a sheep and eat it raw, and then come into the pits and race.
Yeah, I remember him when I was a kid, and then his son, who's at Newcastle now, who had a similar style as well. There are some people, like I say, that get away with it, that get away with riding a bike funny. I can't. The one person who's done well out of absolutely, it's not a bad style. It's just you think, how can you do it? It was when Peter Kilderman was in the Grand Prix. And the way he just throws the leg back going at the corner, you often seen him. He would come off quite often going in because he's off balanced, and it was you need to have a solid riding style about you. And after who was it? I should never mention it now because I can't remember the name. Someone on Saturday night was discussing the way that Ace rode a bike. And they said a rider's name, and I went, "You're right. That's exactly who he rides like." And I can't even remember who it is. Come back to us next week, and I'll have remembered. But somebody said, and it was like like a Grand Prix legend sort of rider, and they said, "Ace, do you not think Ace sits on a bike similar to whoever it was?" And I said, "You're right. It's very similar." I can't remember who it was now. But it was positive, Gary.
You've got. I always think there's sort of like two types of riders in terms of you've got guys that are they've got natural ability in abundance, and you've got guys that are grafters. And that's not to say the grafters are any worse than guys that are natural ability, but the natural ability guys, they make it look effortless. Where you've got guys that'll just ride the nuts of the thing for 4 laps, and they're just as effective, but you think, how do they get away? Well, not away with it, but how do they seem to put double the effort, and then you've got guys riding alongside them that just, as Peter Collins used to say, sat in an armchair, just sort of
like Jimmy
cruising round.
See, I think Tio's like that. Tio's quite a calm, smooth rider. And I've heard some people say like, "Oh, he wasn't trying," and I sort of think, why? Because he was in control of his motorcycle. Because he wasn't. When you should get, so-and-so's a right trier, but they're nearly off, and they're but it's down, as you say, 2 different styles. If I see Tio sort of like bumping like somewhere, then what's that? Did you see that?
Who wrote that?
That's really put me off. Who did you
sorry,
pay?
Sorry, Kay.
He's paid someone to put on here for everybody else to know. He's paid. Is it your mum? Have you paid your mum? No, but
busted.
yeah. So if Theo has like a if he bumps or he's like, what, you know, and I go, because I know for that split second, Theo doesn't do that. Whereas riders, you get riders to do that all the way round the track, if you know what I mean. But I have heard people say, oh, he's not trying. I thought, what, just because he's in control of his bike, if you know what I mean. But
I love the way that Theo does that third and fourth bend at Berwick.
Oh, yeah.
And he can hammer it in tight and comes round that white line. I was up in hospitality one night, and there was a group of people there watching, and I was kind of just saying what was all going on in the race and how the race was working out for them, because a few of them hadn't been to Speedway before. And I says, that's Theo out there, and he's trying to come on the inside line and pass. I can't remember who it was. And he says, I was saying, he's never in a month of Sundays going to get him on the inside. He's going to have to run it up to the fence if he's going to get anywhere near him. And then the next lap, Theo passed him up the inside, and I just walked out the door. I went, forget this. Forget
you know
this.
what you're talking about then,
Yeah, I was like, yep, right, see you later, guys, bye.
Is it not Carl Newman?
I think it was. He was just working it all the way around the inside, and then he got him, and it was fantastic.
I think it's quite funny that Theo can do that tight corner on the small tracks, considering that his whole start was on the long tracks, if you know what I mean, and the grass track.
Years of Armadale.
Yeah. And one of the things that is quite...
It's not my mum.
It's not his mum. But they want to know
Brilliant, Laura. Brilliant, Laura.
That's funny. I used to ride Armadale on a Friday night, a tiny track, and then go abroad to race in a 1,000-meter track the next second day on a different bike.
But to have that for Theo, to have that sort of thing is that he spent so long at Armadale on that little circuit, and then to do the long track as well. You've got, because a lot of riders can only do one or the other. There's not many that can, you know, you'll have a rider, say, that's been based at, I don't know, Kings Lynn or Sheffield, something like that, a big track rider, and then goes to ride up at Armadale. They'll be like, oh, God, I'm not going to get round here. It's far too small, sort of thing. So for Theo to be able to do them both, is sort of, he's covering the whole field, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. I mean, I wish I could ride the smaller tracks better than what I do after my attempt
Friday
at
was
Armadale.
only Friday. You'll be fine next time.
I mean, I did try ride the rest of the meeting with a bent bike.
Have you never fancied a shot at the long track, Greg?
No.
No.
You know, because it's been obviously the last couple of years, we've all had this crazy situation, you know, in the world, and we did a few grass tracks, nothing as much as what we did. And that Thursday, just last week, was the World Team Championships in Germany, and it's a long track, like a long track. So it's like, I thought like a 1 kilometer all the way around. So like one race is 4 kilometers, and I actually forgot how fast long track is. Like when they were clocking the times, I was like, la 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 la, totally not listening. It was something like 162 kilometers. I mean, I'm not good at convert. I mean, that's pretty like near 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just over, isn't it?
Doing that on a sand track with other crazy guys next to you. Oh, and all you are is on a couple of pieces of metal held together, really, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I actually got a fright last week because I hadn't seen it for so long. I thought, oh, wow, this is the speed. It's pretty mental. It's pretty mental.
Long track, grass track, nah. I mean, even if I've been out, a lot of my mates do motocross. I'll not get on a motocross bike. Like, no chance. I'll not do Speedway's my thing. That's what I can kind of ride, and I understand that. Motocross, no, and long track as well. Long track, take my hat off to anybody doing that, because that's mental.
Because you do sort of see that a lot of riders can do both codes and what have you, and they'll ride other motorbikes, and then you've got the other side where you've got guys that they race Speedway, but they'll not even have, like, say, a bike license for on the road or whatever.
Gio's just not allowed one. I don't let him have one. I've got more than enough. I've got no.
Who's it? Who
I
is
just like
this? Hello,
Paid up member
darling.
of the Greg Blair fan club, but it looks at it.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other one must be busy tonight.
You know, talking about that, like everybody said to us, why do the boys not do grass track? Because obviously that's Tio's, he's a lot higher than that than he is in Speedway. It's always been his thing. Why do the boys not do it? And it's basically like for a start logistics, because there's not a lot of grass track in the UK, and when there is, it's really far down south. Plus, like the equipment cost, you know, if we have to get 2 boys, 2 bikes, and you know whatever. But they both tried it for the first time a few weeks ago. Steen went on it, went round just a few laps. He come back in and he come up to the van and he said, "Yeah, that's it, Mum. Sell my Speedway bike. I want my grass track bike. That's it. Love it. It's for me." Okay, I said, "Son, okay." Then he went out on his next practice and he had a bit of a lift, and he went so wide out. The commentator was going, I think Steen's going for a cheeseburger." Do you know what I mean? Because he was like, he come back in the pits, he went, "Mum, scrap it. You can keep this. I want my Speedway bike back." So, that wasn't his thing. He aced it really well at his first 2 grass tracks. I see. Yay! Thank you, Tanya. That's from Holland. He started the grass track. He's done it twice now, and he's been going really, really well. But because he's 15, he has to ride with the starts. So he came third out of 25, which is pretty good.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what I was going to ask you as well was a few years back, Tio managed to get one of his friends over from the long track in Romano Hummel, and he had a meeting for Berwick. Did he just, what happened there? Did he just, it was not for him, or?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of disagreement between his sponsors and his family, really. I think, and he just basically just went back, and that was that.
Like they wanted them to concentrate on the long track?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
A combination of that and other factors.
Yeah, I think it was more than that. It was more
because he was, from memory, I can't remember what he scored, maybe 6 or 7 or something on his debut, but he was pretty handy on the old Speedway bike as well.
Yeah, no, I think it was just a combination of age as well, because he was a lot younger then. Yeah, and it was difficult to get him back and forward, and yeah, I think there was a bit of I think really, from what I know, it was more his dad that said, like, "I'm not wanting that sort of thing." So,
well, if it's a young, when you're a young lad and travelling the world, it's not for everyone to ride motorbikes, and if it's predominantly in Holland and Germany, it's a lot easier possibly to commute than up to Armadale on a Friday night from wherever.
Yeah. And that's what's hard. If you mostly do the grass track abroad and you ride it on a Friday, you can't if you ride on a Saturday. You can't do that. Sorry, I just keep laughing when I'm reading these things at the bottom.
True crime or just car racing?
Neither.
It's actually...
Neither.
For Americans, Speedway is cars.
That's
Laura
right,
is from America. I am a great fan of the documentary Making a Murderer, and this is how I first met Laura. So I, it's great, the crossover. But yeah, it's I'll explain more about this. There was another question here. I'll just pop that up from Owen Booth Racing.
Yeah.
When did I start racing? I started racing Speedway when I was 15 years old. And my first, I had a blast on the beach. And if anybody's ever shot a Speedway bike on the beach, you'd think that you're going to be world champion, because there's no traction. It just turns easy. And you're like, wow, I am super. By my first go at 15, I was like, I am super talented. I am going to be unreal. It's just, there was nothing. I was like, this is so easy. A week later, I went to Workington, went into the first bend at Workington and tried to turn it. And then the sort of the traction thing came into side and I went into the fence. So I had the commitment to go in fast. I just couldn't turn it. And that was it. 15 years old. So I done that for till I was 21, and then packed it in. Now I'm back.
Yeah. Can I just take particularly yourself and Carrie back? We were talking about nervousness at the start of the meeting, and like that's your sort of time in the pits together. But well, particularly Carrie, I suppose. How's Theo the day before a meeting? How is he? Because I always remember my uncle Chris asking him, do you ever get nervous? And he said no. And then my auntie Aileen said he's like a bear with a bloody a thorn in his foot. He's as miserable as sin for the whole time, and because he just wants to get on with it. He just wants to get on with what he's got to do.
Theo's pretty calm, pretty cool
Right?
actually.
Yeah.
He's quite a laid back character. It's more me that does all the fussing and
Is it?
what? Yeah, but I didn't know that. No, he is. He's normally dead quiet, but I always joke with him and say we get PMT, we get post match. Wait a minute, I forgot. I'm trying to think of it.
Tension. Yeah, post match tension.
Post match tension. We get pre-match trauma, right?
That's it.
Happens, we get PMT both sides of it. But no, to be honest, he's pretty okay. If we've had a really, really good one, it's like, oh, that's been a good one, but closed, move on to the next. If it's a rubbish one and he moans, I'm like, shut up, that's not happening. It happened at the track. We don't bring it home. You know what I mean? But I think he more just gets grumpy when he's really stressed. If Ace aren't doing what they're told, there's loads of bikes to get done and he's got to do everybody's, everything, then he maybe gets a bit grumpy. But all in all, he's pretty laid back, pretty cool, pretty... I get to spend a lot of time with him at grass track because at grass track, you're at the van and it's an all-day thing, so I'm with him all the time at long track and grass track. And he's really pretty cool. He never really... And even if something, if like during the meeting something goes wrong, like I would be like saying, oh, for God's sake, but he can come back and he can just calmly say, right, this isn't working. This is what we need to fix. Let's try this. He keeps really level-headed during the whole thing. He's not, he keeps really calm and quiet. I sometimes I wonder if he's got, I think, oh, where's your, but he's,
Yeah.
yeah, but no, he stays, he can manage to keep thinking. Like Greg, if you have yourself, not that I'm saying you do, but if you're having a rubbish one halfway through the meeting, you've got 2 rides in, and you've got nothing, and you're like, because it's all going rubbish, you can tend to fall apart. Doesn't thinking, right, okay, what is this? Let's keep working at it. And he silently keeps going back and fixing it, whereas I just would have chucked it long ago. Do you know what? It's not working, not doing it. Do you know what I mean? But he's manages to keep the head,
I often find myself coming back in, and a lot of people you hear nowadays will come back in after a bad race, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need the bike sorted, blah blah blah. It's not doing what it's meant to." And I've come back in before. My dad says, "Oh, we need to make a change," and I'm going, "No, it's just me. I was terrible. There was nothing wrong with the bike. It was just me. I was being useless." And
He'll always do that as well. He'll always say, "It was me tonight," or he'll say, "The bike wasn't." When it's not the bike, he's pretty good at saying.
I tell you, I've actually got quite a funny one for you. I remember it was in 2007, and it was just before I had that serious accident and smashed my elbow up, and I got a guest booking for Redcar Bears, and I was sat in the changing rooms, and it was against Berwick at Redcar against Berwick. Davy Meldrum was my opposite number, which was kind of weird because I grew up watching Davy, and James tell me I'm cute when I speak. Thanks, James. I was sat in the changing rooms, and I was just 17-year-old kid or 16, whatever I was, and Gary Havelock. I'm always the last one out the changing rooms. And Gary Havelock came back in, and he sat down next to me, and he said, "I can see you're nervous. It's your first meeting in the Premier League. Is there anything you want to ask me?" And I totally got him wrong, because I just went, "What was going through your mind in Heat 19 of the 2004 World Cup when Rampala kept dive bombing you?" And he just laughed and went, That's not what I meant, but I knew I had him. But it's my favourite race of all time. I watch that. I watch that race all the time. Anybody that I know that doesn't know Speedway, I'll show them it and say, "Watch this." I know every word that Tony Millard says in that race because it is just one of the best of all time. And it was for second place as well. I was at that meeting at the World Cup in 2004. It was fantastic. But yeah, that was. And then I went out in my first race.
The one with Rimpala.
Yeah, Rimpala. Yep, kept dive bombing him. It was a great meeting that, and I asked him about that, and then I went out in that meeting and I beat David Meldrum in my first ever Premier League race. I won it, but it was good. There was another thing I did. It was during COVID, and I never got to. There was a thing like this, and you could ask questions. You could just like what you're doing now, and you could type in your questions, and they'd come up on the screen. And they were reading some of the questions off, and they're interviewing Hans Andersen, and I asked, "How much did Sweden pay you to block Scott Nicholls in the final at Poole in 2004?" And it just got swiped off the screen really quick. But I thought he would have laughed at it because it was quite, it was nearly 20 years ago. But that was for me going totally off track. The 2004 World Cup will stick in my mind forever as probably being one of the best World Cups for racing. It was unbelievably good. So but yeah, going back to nerves, I remember Gary Havelock told me, "You're not nervous, you're just really excited." And that, when he told me that, it stuck with me. For an ex-world champion to say, "You're not nervous, you're just really excited." And when you can channel your nerves into excitement and put it into a positive instead of a negative, he says you can go out and beat anybody. Yeah. And that sat with me, and I just think, he was right. It takes a while to get used to that sense of thing. But now if you tell yourself enough, it's like if you're really hungover and you walk about the house and you tell people, I'm not that bad, but you're dying inside. You actually start feeling all right. So
I'm if you try that because it's never worked. I really don't believe you, but I'll try.
I mean, Greg, to be honest, Gary Havelock, I'm afraid I've got too long a memory. I'm too old in the tooth. I remember he was banned for a whole year for drugs. And for me, it's one of these interesting things I've discussed with Marty and James about this. That the riders that we admire and the ones that we maybe don't admire. It's interesting that obviously for you, it was like that has nothing to do with it, and you just admire, what he said to you then, and I think that helped you.
It was the way that Gary rode a bike. And I don't really look too much into the personal side of certain riders.
Yeah. It's the same with me with Mark Courtney, I suppose.
The way that riders will ride a bike, and you can tell when they're thinking and when they're doing something. It's like watching Theo. He's kind of like, I know there's a lot of riders out there now who are doing the same thing. They're always thinking. But Theo's like one of the last of the old school boys that you can tell what he's thinking just with the way he's riding the bike and what he's doing. And I find that fascinating. I really do like watching one person having a right good go, and I know exactly what you're going to do next. And the guy, obviously, that's in front of him is looking that way. So he hasn't got a clue what's going on behind him. But I think a lot of riders, like myself, I'll wing it most of the time when I'm doing my passing. I'm just coming off that corner hoping that the guy's not got to run me against the fence because I'm like, I'm not stopping. There's going to be an absolute carnage now. I'm going to be off work for a couple of weeks if this guy comes over the fence.
You are not the only one who wishes that just hopes that you just keep going. We're all kind of with you on that. We're all just kind of make this because you've committed anyway. So you're not stopping. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of us that you just get away with it. Yeah.
I do look when I come over the start finish line and give the crowd a wave and they're all cheering. I do sometimes wonder, is that because I've entertained them, or is it because they're chuffed and finished?
So to that end, on Saturday night, are we going to see you blasting round the curb on 3 and 4, trying the Theo line?
I've tried it, and I come back in, and I said, my dad's always says this: "You need to try that white line. Do what Theo's doing." And I'm like, "All right, okay." And then I went out and practiced on Saturday, and I came back in. I went, "How was that?" And he just laughed. He went, "You were miles away. You were miles away for the white line." He's like, I thought I was close, and Tio says to me, he says, no, he says you kind of need to get your front wheel like you're almost on the grass, and I went out and I thought, oh, I've got it, and then my dad's like, no, you were like that far away. So to be able to do it, and it's like that just shows the rider that Tio is, because not. I guess there'll be riders out there that could do that and get it turned as hard as there, but to be able to carry the speed and keep the
I
speed
was going to
going
say,
is different. Because if I was to
speed
come in
coming
there,
in.
well, I probably could hit that white line, but then the bike would be about stopped in the middle of the corner because I've lost all my speed because I've scrubbed it off too much. So that just shows the experience that Tio's got, that he knows there's a guy that should be going a lot faster around the outside, but there's just there is a damp patch down there, and if you hit that, the bike will take off. And Tio knows it's there, and he knows how to work it. He knows how to control his machine, and that's something that he can do that I can't, and that's why he is a better rider than me. As he told my 4-year-old son when my son went to get his autograph the other week at the back of the van.
I gave him a round for that. I said that wasn't that.
I almost had it on video as well. I just stopped it at the end. That's Rory, my son. He's never gotten an autograph before, and that's his first ever person he's went and got an autograph of was Tio.
And then Tio told him that he was better than you.
Yeah, he says, always remember.
I was like, just tell your dad that I'm so better than him or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'll always be better than him. And he was trying to put on a Scottish accent as well, but it was rubbish.
Yeah, listen, you've still got 10 years in you though to get to his age. A lot can happen in 10 years.
Aye, I know. A lot can happen in 10 years. Aye, I'll try win the long track world championship, and then I'll have a laugh at him.
That's lovely. Owen Booth, just want to say, as Owen's dad, the Pijper's family are always supportive to Owen. They're a good family, nice family. Owen's a lovely guy. Yeah, and his dad's nice as well. They're a good set. He was Owen was riding for the academy a few weeks ago, or just last week.
All right.
Yeah.
And where are they based out, Carrie?
I don't know. He's probably going to pop up and tell us, but down south somewhere. Yeah. I'm not sure actually.
I'm sure we'll get a.
How long does it take you to get to Berwick from your address? It's something that we'd like to know, because the travelling for myself, that's 40 minutes to Berwick, and what is it, about an hour and a half for yourself, Carrie?
Yeah, but an hour and 50. But I mean, that's the thing people forget. Do you know, like the amount of travelling you do. Yeah. So when we were riding for Scunthorpe on a Friday, it's a 9-hour round trip every single Friday. Not okay, you have other places to go on to, but a 9-hour round trip just for your home track is quite a lot. And
you think that there's riders that can go? I mean, I remember going to Plymouth once. That's the furthest I've went, Jedburgh to Plymouth, to turn up, and the track, it just started pouring with rain, and that was a rain off. And as you say, it's a long way to go for a McDonald's to go all the way down there. There was no other meetings on.
Sunderland,
Sunderland. Yeah. Oh, so that'll be a couple hours, an hour and a half, I would say. Yeah, 90 minutes. Yeah. Hour and a half. So yeah, but go. You see that, you go travel all that distance, and especially back then, it was the Conference League. The National League was called then. Going all the way down there for the Conference League, the money side of it was nothing. So to go down there for a rain off, and my dad driving, that's like we lost probably like 2 days work doing that. The fuel in the van, just for a rain off, is absolutely devastating. So you have to take that into account as well when you see a rain off on the thing. People are just like, oh, such and such got rained off tonight. But you think, well, them riders, like when Tio went to Birmingham, and they had to stop the meeting, and did Tio only do one ride or one lap?
No. It was heat 3 that was stopped after Josh Shorty went into the boards, because I was there watching.
Yeah, I think you only got half a lap or just something.
Yeah, exactly.
The last week when Tio was rained off, that actually was great. Everybody else was like all that way for nothing, but because we were already down and we were staying in a wee holiday place, we were actually like, yes, because Bonnie didn't know. Bonnie was like, do I go to like the disco, or do I go and see my dad racing? And she's a total dance maker, so she was like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then Tio was like, I'd taken the kids away somewhere and then phoned and they went, it's rained off. I was like, Bonnie, it's cancelled. She was like, yes, Dad can come to the disco. Do you know what I mean? So best rain off far away I've ever had, if you know what I mean. That one worked out well. So.
And you've got some good videos of Theo dancing there, haven't you?
I wanted to send it to his group chat, but he was having none of it. So I'm going to wait until I need to get him back for something, and I'm just going to post him everywhere. I can talk running about upstairs. Bonnie's supposed to be in bed ages ago, but you know what it's like. Dad puts her to bed, and there's an awful lot of hilarity and running about going on up there. So.
The boss is busy.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Is this going to look? It's going to be bad on me, isn't it?
Videos of Theo dancing in the pits at Redcar of an occasion.
Really?
I think so, I can't remember where I seen it, but he was cutting some shapes anyway.
Really? Yeah.
You can't beat a dance now and again.
Can he beat a dad's dance every now and again?
Oh, no. Perfect.
Yeah.
Can I just ask? Sorry, Kaya. Yeah, carry on.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
No, it's just that I know that Marty wants to talk a little bit about a very good Glasgow fan that's sadly no longer with us. But just before that, you touched on something earlier, and that was the looking forward, Speedway in the UK. How is British Speedway going to compete with Poland? I mean, it's quite interesting at the moment. There's a lot of discussion. I saw a lot of discussion about the fact that Edinburgh are having to race on Saturday, and they're not going to have either Sam Masters or Josh Pickering because they've been sort of commandeered by their Polish club. When I first started watching Speedway in the previous millennium, that sort of thing never happened. How are we going to compete with Poland? I mean, they seem to command all the the riders.
I really don't know what the answer is to that. I think obviously from a rider's point of view, it's money.
Yeah.
But from also what I hear, if you get your money, I think it just comes down to money. But then, of course, they get bigger. If they get bigger sponsors, they get more people paying through the turnstiles. They can afford to pay a lot more. I don't know what the answer is at all. I do think there's a lot of things. Obviously, we could go on forever about the things that British shoots itself in the foot, but we could also go on about the things that are good for them. I mean, we've realised just pretty recently as well. One of the things that's shooting it in the foot is that Ace has just started. He had 4 matches. Four matches. He'd been on the 500 a handful of times, like literally 6 times, right? Say he'd had 4 matches. He'd done well, and he's now been put up to number 3 in the team. All of a sudden, straight away, now that brings, as we're talking about pressure, if he doesn't score as many points, blah blah blah. Surely there should be something in British Speedway to protect the youngsters, especially a 15-year-old who's just moved in to a team at to be at number 7.
Absolutely,
number 7 for the season.
I mean, it's not like he's riding again. It's not like he's a foreigner. It's not like he's threatening other British riders. He's not taking somebody else's team place. So surely British, I think that's pretty crazy. Maybe they should give him, I don't know, 6 home, 6 away. This is a bit more fair. The whole season might have been even more, fairer. I don't know. But I do think, wow, that's a bit. From British Speedway, that's the rules. That's.
Well, I was going to say, is that not the rising system? The rising star system is all about that. You do have these riders protected.
But on Ace's level, in the National Development League, then.
Exactly.
Matches to get an average, but I think the rising stars are. I don't know how they all work, but that's for like the
Carrie, I honestly can't see how any promoter in the league. I mean, they're the ones that develop the rules. I can't see how anybody could argue against you on that point. I don't see it. It's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? Yeah.
To go further, you've got to beat people. You've got to be better than you constantly, and you're not going to learn anything if you're always at the front. But Ace wasn't always at the front from position number 7. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't only racing reserve riders all the time. So he was still learning. I think it's such a jump, and I was surprised it was only that many matches. But now he's on a rolling average, as I'm aware. Somebody will maybe correct me, but rolling averages don't change that quickly, do they? Like, they take a lot longer to actually go up or down. So if he's on the actual system of a rolling average, he could be stuck up at 7 point something for ages, like all the way in the season. And then what would happen next year then? Because he started off so well. That's a bit of, a bit of a shame. I don't think, I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen next year. But I mean, yeah, I think that's one of the things that I think, wow, really? You guys made it. It's a British guy and it's a British team. And
I do see that as being a bit stupid, because you've got, like, for instance, say we had Berwick's first few meetings were against the 4 lowest scoring teams in the league. Ace could have, and say Ace went up to his average, put him, which it has, as a heat leader. That's like, and then you put him up against the next load of meetings and against stronger teams. All that's going to do is just going to hammer his confidence down. And I mean, saying that, going into this weekend, this is I would say, not the biggest challenge that we've got, because I mean, the only thing is it's Leicester. It's back to back. You got a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard, even on the Bandits riders, because you've got finish your night's riding, try and sleep, and then head off to Leicester the next morning and get there and then ride again. It's tough, and that'll be the first. I think that'll be the first back-to-back meetings for Ace, won't it? This season.
No, because he rode Saturday there and then he rode Sunday there. He might ride the National, the Junior League 1 and on. I think what's harder for us this weekend is that Teo's in one of the meetings, and like the Bandits can leave. We've got to stay and do the Bulls. And then we have to be earlier to Leicester for the Bandits. And then we have 4 bikes to clean and get ready. And Leicester starts at 4, so we've got to be there at 2 because Teo's riding the Bandits. So our time becomes even shorter than everybody else's time. But it's what the job is, and sometimes double headers are easier because it's only one set of fuel for us. So maybe works a little bit better that way, but
no, it's funny the way that it works, the bloody whole Speedway thing. But going into with Poland, how we're going to compete, to put it simple, we can't.
Well, we can't.
I would say that the money that's involved there, the only thing that I'm trying to do myself at the moment, and I can't stress it enough, is that we need to look after the kids. And I'm not just meaning the riders, I'm meaning the young fans that are coming. After a meeting, I will spend so much time speaking to the youngsters that are there, the 5-year-olds up to 10-year-olds, get their photo, because at the end of the day, they're the future of the sport. They not necessarily riding, they're the ones that are going to be paying the wages. They're going to be the ones that are keeping the clubs alive. You spend a bit of time with them, get selfies, do the autographs, whatever. They go to school on the Monday. What did you get up to the weekend? I was at the Speedway. It was amazing. I met the riders. Oh, that. Maybe 2, 3, 4 of his pals want to come along. The parents come along. That's another, could potentially be another 20 people through the gate next game week. So looking after the young fans is the only way that we can really keep this sport going. Because
they remember, Greg. They remember that if they've had 5 crack with you at the Speedway and had a picture and whatever, and they'll be buzzing about it the rest of the week, month, whatever.
Yeah.
End of season at the end of the season last year, the last home meeting, one of my main sponsors, Fleming Homes, the big boss guy Hayden was there, and he had brought his kids along to it. And I said to my dad, get the spare bike and bring it to the track when we went round on the parade. I says, bring it down to the starting gate. And Jamie Courtney had seen what was happening, and he just went, I'm going to pretend I've not seen this, because I didn't realise that we weren't allowed to have the crowd on the track. So Jamie just went, you know what, I'm going to pretend I've not seen this and it'll be fine. And I just said to Dick Barry, could you just tell anybody in the crowd if they want to come out and sit on the bike on the track and get the pictures taken?
Yeah.
And nobody came, and I thought, oh no. And then all it took was one person to jump the fence, and they were like sheep jumping over a dike. There was just loads of them, and they had a big line that piled up. And I was getting messages even on the Tuesday after that meeting off the parents saying, "Thank you so much for doing that. My kid, he's 7-year-old. He was absolutely buzzing that he got to sit on a bike on a speedway track. It's all they've talked about. They've told everybody about it, and that's just." It's not for me. It's trying to secure the future of the sport, and I think that needs to be done. Get the kids involved, and we'll be all right. We'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, Marty, I don't know about you, but obviously disappointing to lose to Glasgow. But at the back of the mind, I'm thinking, the Bullets team, that could be the Bandits team in 5, 6, 7 years' time. What's the Glasgow team going to look like? Are they just going to buy in, whatever they can afford? I mean, the Berwick model is a superb model. You've got the likes of Greg there, your Luke Crangs, looking after the guys, and then you've got superstars like Kyle Bickley, obviously, but then you've got your ace Pipers coming through. I'm just looking forward to the next 5, 6 years as a Bandits fan. I'm thinking how great this is going to be, and that's what Poland did, isn't it? That's what Poland are doing. That's why they're the best in the world.
Yeah, they do a lot more skills.
Okay.
Sorry, they do a lot more skills and things as well. Like it's more homegrown, which is what Berwick's doing.
Yeah.
You have to take your hat off to Berwick for that sense. Like you're saying, Glasgow's got the money, so they can just throw it at whoever and bring them in. But if you watch like Ace and Mason, like them lads and Kyle and just the whole Bullets team, like you're saying, to like nourish them and watch them grow and eventually chuck on a Bandits race colour and go out and win races for the Bandits. That like Ace and Mason, both of them starting off in the academy, going all the way up. It's like a fairy tale, and just even seeing two of them coming from the academy now and going out and winning races, it is fantastic, and you just know that they are going to be knocking on the door of the Bandits next season, the season after, whatever, and Carrie's going to be hating it.
I'm not really. Totally. I've not got any nerves left, so don't even try and tempt one because I've got none left. Not one.
Marty, I'm going to leave the last word to you for the sad loss of a fan that passed away.
Yeah, just before tapes up on Saturday, well, not just before, but on Saturday afternoon, James and myself, countless others, got the sad news that Glasgow fan Jim Kelly had passed away after a long battle with illness. And Jim was, me and James met him in Poland through the Speedway, funnily enough. But he always maintained that Berwick was his favourite away day with the Speedway when he did manage to get down to Shieldfield. So that was kind of tinged with sadness before Saturday night, but bizarrely fitting in a way that it was a Berwick against Glasgow, and disappointing as it was to lose on Saturday night, you sort of come away, and Carrie's touching it briefly, that it's a bad night at the office, if you like, but it's ultimately, it's not that bad when you take things into perspective. I know I'm getting quite deep saying that, but
no, you're right.
That was
true.
Was the thing. So it was just it was quite difficult in a way, because obviously we're up in the gantry talking about the Speedway, but your mind's thinking about Jim's family and condolences to them. But very sad news indeed. So that was on Saturday. So Jim, we'll be thinking of you, buddy.
I just want to say as well, we go back a long way with Jim. We obviously met him at Glasgow when he rode there in 2011. Absolutely great guy. We've remained friends with him, and the whole time. And they looked after wee Callum so much as well. With you and I mean, I grew up with Diane as well. Right. So Ewan put pictures on the other night on Facebook. He was looking through his memories, and it was pictures of Jim playing football with Ace after Speedway at
Yeah,
Glasgow. So, yeah, horrible.
horrible
Sadly, but
indeed.
an absolute tremendous guy. That's a tremendous guy.
Yeah, and on Saturday night, if he'd been there, he would have been like, well, listen, lads, he's got beat, but hey ho, there's always next week,
That's
and
it.
and and it would have finished with some quip about his beloved Dundee United making fun of Dundee or whatever, and or some quip about the going to the bar or whatever. So there would have been a bit of banter flowing after it.
Or some Jaeger bombs.
Jaeger bombs, yeah. He was known to produce a bottle of Jaeger in Poland and get the Jaeger bombs flowing for everybody. So always a good time when he was in the party mood.
Yeah.
One final question. Any idea where I am now?
Amsterdam.
Not quite.
Poland.
No, you were close enough the first time. I only
Amsterdam.
know because he told me. I'm cheating, so I'm not going to guess.
Dockham.
Oh, Dockham. Oh,
This is where Theo comes from. I don't know which house, but anyway, this is.
I don't know
picture of
that
Dockham.
street, but
I thought it was Kelso.
your vote doesn't count.
Listen, guys, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting with you, and I do apologise for my my little banner there, Greg. I realise it's probably not the kindest message in the world, But hopefully you've got all sorted out, and Kevin Little and Brian will get you sorted out with the van up and running soon.
The van arrived back today, and we'll get it all sorted out and ready to go. Even though my dad doesn't want to take it down to Leicester on Sunday, so we're going in his because he doesn't trust it. So he's we're going in his van on Saturday. So Sunday, sorry. So yeah, that's that.
Well, I'm as I say, I'm looking forward to not having to do the combined with me. Much as I enjoy them because they are good fun, but the opportunity of getting a double header, particularly against Leicester. I mean, as a lot my favourite is Mark Courtney, and he started off as the kid at Leicester. But anyway, Carrie, it's been a whirlwind couple of weeks. Since I spoke to you at Plymouth. I'm really glad that Theo's on the mend, and looking forward to Saturday doubleheader and Leicester doubleheader. Many thanks for joining us, and please don't leave it too long before coming on again.
I don't think I gave away any secrets, so next time you'll need to try and be a bit more clever with your questions and see what else you can get. I didn't give away
your
any.
Husband on next time.
I was going to say that we'll obviously have to have Theo on at some point, and yes, I mean when it comes to secrets, there are certain things that need to be kept secret, and you have to cautiously avoid any occasion which may inadvertently lead you to disclose those secrets. You've just got to be careful.
I didn't know what to expect, and a couple of questions was some clubs that and I was thinking, I can't say that out loud. You know what I mean? No. I'm just taking the safe option. No, everything's fine. That's yeah.
Well, if there's what, wait, I'll give you a quick one before we go then, Carrie, so that you can say it now. What's the one? So you've been with Theo 18 years?
Yeah.
What's the one thing that Theo does that drives you mental, but you can't actually say it to him? But if he's watching this, he'll get up on it. So, what's the one thing that Theo does that drives you round the bend?
Well, can I only give you one, or can I give you 3?
Come on.
Get it off your chest.
Only one. How long have we got?
Go for the 3.
Can we go another hour?
Yeah, absolutely.
The way he eats crisps when we're watching a film on the couch drives me to want to murder them. Like normal people crunch crisps. But even on the way back for Germany, sitting in front of the car, and I said to Andy, see if you don't take the crisps off him, I'm going to take them off him and throw them out the window. You hear them? The crunching drives me up the wall. I've got hundreds more. Do you know what I mean? I've got.
Well, when we get to you on, we'll definitely ask him what things, and he is going to say nothing. He's going to say
nothing.
Nothing. No, nothing.
He's going to say absolutely nothing.
No. I just want to say actually as well though, like this whole like Mrs. Pijper as a boss thing, it's just a joke. Do you know what I mean? It's an absolute joke. A couple of years ago, he just said, "Oh, I'm going to put that on my bum, on my Kevlars." I thought he was joking. The Kevlars arrived, and I was like, "Oh my god, you really did do it!" And because like people talked about it, it's just a joke. You know, we're all a team. We all do this, that, and you know, for each other. It is just literally a joke. I wish.
And what's on the boys' bum?
Miss Bonnie is the boss.
Miss Bonnie is the boss.
She really is the way. She really is the boss.
Greg, it's been absolutely a pleasure having you on as usual. Probably the only person that's enjoyed you being on is Perplex Cutie, my Making a Murderer pal from the Making a Murderer community. And finally, Marty, thanks once again. Hopefully you'll be accompanied by your fellow shouty brother next week.
He's missing in action tonight, but he's had a horrible visit to the dentist this week, so he's hoping to be fit for Saturday night, which sounds like sort of cliche because there's no riding, but obviously if he's got a sore mouth, speaking might be a bit of a challenge come Saturday night. Well, it's a challenge most Saturday nights, but I
don't think you have any trouble with speaking. I thought that was absolutely brilliant when what race was it when you said, "Oh, that's absolutely awesome, that racing." But I haven't seen anything like that since. And then you said since Bomber Harris 2 weeks ago. Was it Greg or was it?
It was my race.
Yeah,
I didn't quite get the point across, but he done me up like a kipper on that one. Definitely. But that was Mr. Blair's antics against Kent. I think it was. Sorry, Bellevue.
Yep,
Bellevue, and then he dropped a clanger on me on that one.
Yeah. So just let's do a very quick preview then. Thoughts on how the Bandits and the Bullets are going to get on against Leicester on Saturday. Ladies first.
Well, it's neither of mine's favourite track, to be honest. That's for the big one and the wee one. I don't know. I have to go with win all the time, don't I? I have to go with win. What else can I say? Gotta live in hope.
Listen, I'm always glass half full. I'm always half full. Except when I'm on the third bend and the dogs manage to cause me to spill my beer everywhere and I have to get a new one. But apart from
drinking beer? Are you drinking beer in a skill night? Well, you should have told me.
Yes.
We could have joined up, Greg, and we could have joined up.
Yeah, because tomorrow I don't actually start because I'm a peripatetic music teacher. I'm self-employed, so I don't actually start till 4:00 tomorrow afternoon. So yes, I've got the great day off. But anyway, Greg, thoughts for the Bandits and the Bullets on Saturday? I suppose and Sunday as well. But let's go with Saturday first.
We've got an unbeaten home record for the Bullets. On it, like I said before, I don't know too much of what's going on in the championship at the minute. I've not been keeping an eye on that. I've kind of just been looking after my own thing. Got an unbeaten record at home. We're going to try and keep that going. All the boys are fairly confident the way they're riding at the minute. Just for the team change, we're all feeling pretty good. Away at Leicester, I know some of the lads, myself, I'm not really keen on the track, but at the end of the day, you've just got to go out there, you've got to ride it, and we want to win this league. So we're just going to have to put the negative thoughts about the track behind us. I've already done that this year when I went to Armadale. I thought, I cannot be bothered to do this. I do not like this place. Went out there, got paid 12. So I'm hoping to go there and at least win one race at Leicester on Sunday. So I would like to come back with 2 wins on Sunday night. So, well, 4 wins. So let's hope for that.
Yeah, Marty, I'm sure you know that Ty Proctor has sort of aggravated an injury, and who better replacement than a certain Mr. Complin, who, according to Ricky Wells, nobody rides Shielfield like Mr. Complin. So what's your hopes for the weekend?
Well, he's had his moments certainly around Shielfield.
Yeah.
Saturday night at home for the Bandits. Real tough test. Well, they're all tough, aren't they? But they've got a heat leader trio that absolutely love riding Berwick. So it's going to be one hell of a fight against them first and foremostly. So my heart would always say the Bandits to win on that one. So I say Bandits by 4, but the Bullets, I think maybe about 10 or 12.
I mean, for me, I think it's interesting. Jai missing him is such a huge loss because you know, I mean, I think Lee Complin was the first guy to actually beat Jai Etheridge at home for like, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks?
I think he went about 10 or 12 races unbeaten at home.
Yes, yeah,
and then he was on the graveyard gate 1, as it were, and I think Lee might have been off gate 4 and just went right round the boards and sailed off into the sunset. So, but just a quick one, certainly on the track for more so for Greg on Saturday night there. The way the track was, do you think that would have been a Greg Blair type night?
It wasn't it, because I had a shot and it was awful. I went out in the rider replacement ride, and no, I made a good jump. The shale was that heavy. If you stand in the crowd and you've been hit with a shale over the other side of the fence, it's pretty sore. You get that when you're right behind the bike. It's really sore, really sore. So it stopped me dead.
Long track. That's when it really hurts.
Oh, that's why I'm not doing long track. So it was quite deep, but the week before for the Bullets it was really slick, and it kind of showed in my performance that I do struggle a bit on a slick track. It was a bit too dusty for me. It's hard work to get that done when you've got that Berwick wind coming through. But going into this weekend, hopefully, winds calm down a bit. We'll have a bit of moisture in the track. It's going to be hard with a double header. Razor always does a good job of keeping it at tip-top form. So hopefully we're all going to be grand and we're going to get all the wins.
Certainly won't be for lack of effort.
Exactly. Yep.
Lovely. Just to say that next Wednesday, Mr. Complin is one of the guests. So if you're able to join us again next week, that would be great. If not, fully understand. But anyway, I'm going to say cheerio, and I'm going to leave the final words to our great guests here, Greg, Marty, and we're going to give the final word to the boss.
Ta-ta.
Good night. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers the night.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for you guys as well. Time. And now I'm not nervous anymore, so can we start again?
Yes, absolutely.
Seriously, thanks. We'll do it again, and maybe I'll be a bit more relaxed then. So, yeah. Thanks and bye.
Absolutely.
Good night.
Yep.